Hey y'all, my name is Shay and I like to talk. So let's talk. This is my first video of my new installment called SoShaeSpeaks. As you can see, this is the first video on this channel. I wanted to start a new YouTube channel that is pretty much dedicated to all things pop culture, all things Black culture, all things anything that is worth commenting about. I do have a YouTube channel that I have for vlogs if you want to subscribe to that as well, but I want this video to be specifically for just me commenting on anything and everything, okay? Ignore my comb. I don't have a mic right now, and I did feel like holding this entire time, so we're gonna use this comb. Thank you. Humble beginning. But as you can see by the title of this video, I wanted this channel to start off with a bang. This couple has been taking over the entire internet, all over TikTok, all over Twitter. I literally had to remove myself from Twitter because I was so tired of of the discourse surrounding this couple. Every day is something new. It's negativity, it's arguments, it's something. And as an Nicolandria stan, it was getting exhausting. I literally had to detach. Like, I literally regret the day I pressed play on Love Island season 7. Like, I really do. Child, not the phone going off during the video. Ciao, boo-bye. This video, we're going to be talking about the most famous couple that came out of Love Island. I would even argue and say the most famous couple that came out of the Love Island USA franchise, Nicolandria. If you don't know what Nicolandria is, it's pretty much a popular ship / relationship that came out of Love Island season 7 or Love Island USA season 7 with the Islanders Nicholas Van Steenberg and Nicolandria Carthen that were combined together to become Nicolandria. The ship pretty much began on episode 1 when all of the female Islanders had to choose a guy to kiss on the very first day, and Nicolandria Carthen decided to kiss 2 of the Islanders. One was Taylor Williams and the other was Nick. When she walked over to Nick, she literally said, "Come here, Cream," which is the name of her Twitter com that has literally almost 60,000 members in there. It was so iconic. It was hilarious. I literally bust out laughing when she said that. That pretty much began the start of their ship. And then on the very next day, when Nick kissed her back, that's when the ship skyrocketed into where we are today. Between the episodes, episode 21 and episode 30, it was such a hard time for Nicolandrians because people really just thought that their ship was just no longer happening, especially after Nick and Sierra had closed off. But episode 30 came in like a thief in the night, and Sierra was gone like a thief in the night, and here we are. So the purpose of this video is pretty much to discuss why to some people Nick and Nicolandria are not digestible. And what I mean by digestible is, like, for some odd reason, people just don't believe or don't want to believe that Nick and Nicolandria are a real couple. And some of their reasonings, it makes sense and I understand. To be honest, I don't blame them, because if you're not a Nicolandria stan, or if you're not someone who watched this entire season, I can understand why people would feel like, well, how did this happen? How did we get here? Or if you're just someone who just generally wasn't a Nicolandria stan and was just watching the show through a general viewer lens, you would probably think, well, this is strange, this is weird, and probably have these opinions. As an Nicolandria stan, I'm gonna try to be unbiased as possible due to the fact that I really love Nicolandria. And I've said it in a previous video, I'm not a Nicolandria stan. I'm more so of a Nicolandria stan. And before other Nicolandrias come for me, yes, I am an Ola doll, but I do not take action in bashing Nick. I feel like when you're a Nicolandria stan, you support both of them equally, and I don't really keep up with Nick. I only keep up with Nicolandria. I feel like it would be unfair to me to call them a Nicolandria stan. So I don't know. I literally have notes that I put on my laptop that I am using to help steer me in this video, because I really wanted to show both sides of the coin as to why people may think they're fake and to why people think they're generally a real couple who are just giving each other a shot. If you disagree with any of the points that I make in this video, you're more than welcome to leave them out down in the comments. And yeah, so let's get started. The first question is, why Nick and Nicolandria were so popular? Why was this ship so popular throughout this season of Love Island? You can't really tie it down to one thing. I think there's like many factors as to why the ship may have been popular. I think over time in, you know, television and TV shows, there are fans of shows who ship people together. Usually in TV shows, people like to ship 2 characters together. And I think for me, that was one of the reasons why I was very hesitant to join the ship, because this isn't a scripted series. This is a reality TV show with people with real humans and real actions. There is no writer who's writing these characters in to fall in love with each other. Like, you can't force two random people to be together if the feelings are just not there or it's just not mutual, you know? I do also think that people who are very romantic and see this as a guy who's really like yearning or really like this girl and just wanting to see him get a chance with a girl that he really likes. Throughout the show, I did think that Nick had some type of interest towards Nicolandria. I did, especially on episode 2, when he had said he wanted to get to know her. But I think fairly quickly, once Sierra and Bella got his attention, I didn't think that would be something that would continue. As time progressed, I really didn't see like Nick yearning for her, except for like episode 21. I can see how people felt like Nick was really into Ola, wanting to explore her, but yearning is a bit much. But I do feel like he did wanted to get to know her. And I do also think the popularity is due to people just loving Bridgerton and maybe a little bit of swirlers here and there. No judgment here. I'm not saying all of the Nicolandria stands are swirlers. I'm not saying that. Let's be for real. There's probably some in the fandom. You may not be one yourself, but to say there's no swirlers in that fandom is just a bold-faced lie. But if you're someone who was like me, of just someone who genuinely supported Nicolandria and just wanted her to be with someone who cherished her and complimented her, like I said before, I was going wherever Nicolandria went in that villa. When she was coupled up with Taylor, when she was coupled up with Jalen, when she was coupled up with Zach, I was going wherever she was going, and I felt like out of all the guys she coupled up with, Nick was the only one who was giving her that type of pressure and giving her that type of energy. From what we saw on the show, Taylor never complimented her, not one time. Never seen him kiss her like Nick kissed her. Like, we've never seen Taylor give her the energy that Nick gave her off of being coupled up with her for one day. So that was the category I fell in. It was the reason why I shipped them so much, because it felt like Nick was literally kissing the ground she walked on. I mean, that man literally sucked her toes. And I felt like regardless of race or ethnicity, every woman should deserve to be treated like that. And I felt like Nick was giving her exactly what she deserves. But anyway, let's talk a little bit more about Nicolandria. Nicolandria Carthen is a 27-year-old born from Decatur, Alabama. She's a first-generation college student and the eldest of 6. She attended an historically black college or university called Tuskegee University. Based off of her Instagram aesthetic, I would give her a baddie aesthetic, like an IG baddie aesthetic. Baby girl is a baddie. That's a given. Let's talk about Nick. Nick is 24 from Jacksonville, Florida. He is the eldest son. He attended the Florida Atlantic University. He is a nurse / model. That man's been literally everywhere. I would consider Nick frat boy aesthetic. When I think of frat boy, I think of like SEC schools, University of Alabama, all the frats. That's what I consider frat boy. Seeing both of their aesthetics, one cannot help but to think what they have met on the outside. And from their physical appearance and their aesthetic, as from their social media, my answer is it's not impossible, but it's not very likely. And that's okay, because that's the beauty of Love Island. You know, there's so many people from different backgrounds, different cultures who come on this island with no cell phone, no internet, no Google, no friends, no families in your ear, just straight vibe. So them meeting on this platform, it really goes to show, like, once you get a chance to really know somebody on a deeper level, you really get to the core of the person. You may have more in common with people than you think. Excuse how I look. But I wanted to add this in here because I forgot to add. The reason why I mentioned their aesthetic was due to the fact that that may also be one of the reasons why people may not find them digestible, because you usually don't see men like Nick go for women like Nicolandria. Nick gives frat boy aesthetic and Nicolandria gives IG baddie. And you usually don't see that happening. And I do believe it's also a race thing, because if you look at Taylor and Clark, Ace and Shelly, like Iris and Pepe, because they can see them meeting on the outside. People can see them meeting on the outside. People can't really see Nicolandria and Nick meeting on the outside. So it's like, do they really like each other for real, or are they just doing it for the clout of Nicolandria? So that's why I added their aesthetic in there, just in case y'all were confused. But yeah, bye. And if you don't know what Love Island is a reality TV show where a group of attractive single people called Islanders live together in a luxurious villa cut off from the outside world and try to find love, all while being filmed 24/7. Love Island USA was not as popular prior to season 6. The bread and butter of the Love Island franchise was Love Island UK, as it should be. That's the country that created the show, that put the show on the map. But Love Island USA was not as popular. It was very low key. Love Island USA did not gain its popularity until season 6. Pretty much just went viral, specifically Serena and Cordell. With that doxing, I really do believe that doxing put Love Island USA on the map. The rest is pretty much history. But back to the topic of them being cut off from the outside world. I think the beauty of them being cut off from the outside world is you don't have any outside influences from your friends, from your family, from social media. You're not looking up their Instagram following to see if you're really their type. You're really not doing anything but taking everything from face value, which can be a blessing and a curse at the same time. I think with Nicolandria, she was very easily manipulated due to the fact that she could only believe what someone says, you know? And I felt like because of that, she was able to fall for somebody who really was not into her or really didn't find her attractive due to the fact that they can only go off based on what someone is telling them. But let's talk about Travis Kelce. The reason why I wanted to bring up Travis Kelce into this conversation, not just for the fact that he's been with Black women and he's, been in interracial relationships, but more so as to what he said about the Black women he's been in interracial relationships with. There's this clip from his old TV show, Cashing Kelce, that kind of went viral on TikTok recently. Basically, him comparing two of the women that was falling for him. One was being Maya and the other one was being Veronica.
These two girls are in two different worlds. Veronica is the type of girl that I could take home to my mother, take home to my family, settle down with and start a family with. And Maya's the girl that's gonna keep life exciting. She's gonna be the one to keep me on my toes and tell me how it is.
Pretty much in that clip, he's pretty much insinuating that Maya was the girl you have fun with, that put you in your place, the girl that you just have a good time with, whatever. And whereas Veronica is the woman that you settle down with, you bring her down to your mom, you have kids with, all that stuff. And with him saying that, I feel like it was very much a red flag. And seeing how it turned out and him being with Taylor Swift and him immediately putting a ring on it, even after him being with Kayla Nicole for longer than he's being with Taylor Swift, it kind of goes to what he said back then. Black women are usually seen as someone you have fun with, you have sex with, but with white women, they take seriously, they marry, they build with. And the reason why I tied this into Nick and Nicolandria, it may be one of the reasons why I was a skeptic at the very beginning with Nick and Nicolandria, especially when it comes to Nick. In the beginning of the season, Nick has always stated that he was very feral, that he goes all in. You can tell he's very sexually liberated. There's nothing wrong with that. He's young, he can do whatever he wants, and that's fine. But I think when it comes to Nicolandria, I didn't want her to be sexualized by him, and not due to the fact that he's a white man, but due to the fact of him being very sexually active and sexually liberated. Once again, no issue with that, but I was very hesitant. Is he only like an Nicolandria because he sees her as someone that he would have a good time with because of his personality and how he looks like he's ready to have a good time with whoever. When it comes to Nicolandria and how she carried herself, especially the first couple episodes in the villa, she seems like a very, very no-nonsense girl, very much upfront, very forward, very opinionated, and knows what she wants and very confident. But with Nick, he immediately turned his head away from Bella as soon as Sierra was giving him some type of sexual connection. I really do feel like Sierra and Nick relationship was based off lust in the beginning, but it's very interesting that I had that feeling in the beginning, and Nicolandria then spoke about that on the Sorry We're Cyrus podcast, pretty much stating the same thing that I was concerned about, and she also had those same feelings.
It's kind of iffy. I knew he would always pick me for challenges. Any chance Nick ever got to kiss me, he took that chance. But then it played into the physical part. Do you just physically get in tune with me?
Right.
Or do you really want to get in? The whole time he was studying me from afar.
And Nicolandria admitting that was one of the reasons why she was very hesitant to explore Nick. I wasn't really sure about Nick. I've always known that she always had a strong head on her shoulders, but her saying that very solidified that with me, that she is also cautious. She is also having these awkward conversations with Nick that, are you just like me because of my measurements? Because her measurements are measuring, okay? And being Black woman from the South, we have to worry about those things. And just being Black women in general, we have to worry about those things, which is why I tied in Travis Kelce, because oftentimes we are seen as sexual beings, but not nothing deeper. I'm happy she was able to have that conversation with Nick and to let him know, hey, is this something you genuinely trying to explore with me, or are you just trying to have fun with me? Because let me know now, because I'm 27, don't waste my time. Based off of those interviews that I've seen of Nicolandria, it's very clear that they really like each other and they're really giving it a genuine shot. Like my sis said, don't waste my time. The next thing I wanted to talk about, probably one of the reasons why people may also be hesitant towards Nicolandria due to the history of Love Island and the, just the history of, interracial relationships. Being with a Black girl, especially if you're non-Black, is very lucrative, unfortunately. There was this podcast clip from the Love to See It podcast, which I will enter here.
I really recommend Taryn's article and we'll link to it, but she writes about the way that Love Island fans have, she writes, gravitated towards Black women. And because of that, they have become like central players on the show. So there is this this cultural capital that they have. And like everyone on these shows has to question the intentions of the people that they're with. But there is this additional layer that Black women have to navigate with questioning whether the men who approach them on the show are genuinely interested in them or whether they're being used. We don't want to, mistranslate what's happening. But I think of like the deep impression that like She's All That made on me and like white women of a certain generation, like this deep-seated fear that a guy would be dating you because of a bet or something, and like how implausible it actually is. Like I came to think of it as this sort of like nightmare fuel that was not rooted in reality. And so to see this like playing out multiple times for Black women on these reality shows is actually like many of these like nightmarish fantasies, a lot of them have like much more real roots for people of color and for Black women like to face that.
Which pretty much talks about how with Love Island, Black women have to be extra careful when exploring people because they don't want to be used, especially because in a lot of these dating reality shows, Black women are usually the center point of these dating shows. So there's just the extra layer of precaution. I really enjoyed that conversation that they had in that podcast because it is very true. I think there's a lot of examples of a lot of Black women in reality dating shows that were used or were used for clout or were used to quote unquote win a show. And then as soon as the show is over, they're either broken up or the men go back to their actual types. And I will list out all the examples that I find of when Black women were used for the men's own benefit, and then as soon as they were no longer beneficial, they were then disposed. The most recent one was Janae and Kenny. I don't really want to deep dive into that, but pretty much Janae was the third place winner of the Love Island season 6 with her boyfriend at the time, Kenny Rodriguez. As recently as I believe August of 2025, he was exposed for being racist and misogynistic. We generally don't even know the real reason of their breakup, but from what her friend said, that he thought he was going to get more money out of her being coupled with her, and that he doesn't really date Black women, blah, blah, blah. Just some racist, foul, misogynistic, clout-chasing BS. It was just another example of Black women being used for a benefit, and then as soon as we're no longer beneficial, we're either treated as disgust or we're just disposable. There's this another TikTok creator called Faina Jibola who made a video talking about the cruelty of using a Black woman. Y'all should check that out. She dives a little bit into how Black women are lucrative in certain spaces.
The cruelty of using a Black woman. We've seen this countless times of men using Black women to boost themselves, to men using Black women to bring them up a ladder, men using Black women to make them more likable, men using Black women to get them more clout, men using Black women to get them more money, men using Black women to get them more media, men using Black women to make them more money, men using Black women to get them more likes. It's become a continuous thing for so long, especially when it comes to reality TV, when it comes to a man that sees a thriving Black woman, a beautiful Black woman filled with light, filled with joy, filled with purpose, God's child, and will use them to benefit themselves. They see the light, they see the joy, they see the love this person has, and they use it to portray this fake persona to make sure, okay, I'm gonna stick to this person, so we're loved, so we're cherished, so now everyone thinks we're the it couple, then I'm gonna dispose of them when I'm done with them.
And the reason why I'm talking about these YouTube creators and these articles is because it does tie in as to why people are skeptical that Nick and Nicolandria are real, or maybe even more skeptical that Nick is not who he said he is, or Nick just doesn't have pure intentions, or Nick is just another guy who is using Nicolandria for clout, or using Nicolandria to get to where he needs to get, and then as soon as she's no longer beneficial, she will be disposable. We do not know Nick personally, and who's to say he is or is not going to do this, but the point of this video is for people to have a little bit of insight as to why people are not necessarily hating on Nicolandria or hating on Nick and Nicolandria being together, but they're simply just a little bit more hesitant in this coupling because we've seen these kind of relationships before, and we've seen this happen before, and we just don't want another Black woman to be used for fame or used for lucrative deals or lucrative opportunities. And as soon as those lucrative deals are not rolling in anymore, she's thrown to the hayside. Landry's a grown woman. She can make her own decisions. But I just wanted to explain what these hesitancies may be rooted in, if that makes sense. So, why are fans skeptical? The first thing I can say is how they got together. Majority of the time of the season, Nick and Nicolandria were not together. Nick was exploring his thing, is building his thing with Sierra. That was his main focus. Why, yes, they were open, and there were times I felt like Sierra was more into it than Nick was. So I generally felt like they were building on something there to the point that they closed off. And same with Nicolandria. She was trying to build something with Taylor, even though we felt like Taylor was not the one for her. She was not really talking about Nick. She was not showing much interest with Nick. They were not having much conversations until they had to in Casa. I'm back. Ignore the bonnet. Thank you. But yes, obviously after the Sorry with Cyrus podcast, she then explained why she didn't explore Nick in the villa due to her not being sure if he genuinely liked her, which is completely understandable, especially once again being a Black woman in the South and not really knowing the true intentions of a non-Black person. Like, I get it. That doesn't really explain why Nick didn't explore Nicolandria. Why, yes, Taylor was his guy. I'm guessing Nick was being respectful. Before that podcast dropped, people really didn't understand why would this random couple come together if they were not really showing interest prior to Casa. So I just wanted to add that in there. People felt like producers may have played a part in it and it's just not as genuine. For a lot of us, we were watching the show for what it was. We saw two people, one exploring with an entirely different woman, the woman exploring with an entirely different man. And these two people were not showing any interest in each other except for the first two episodes. I did saw that kiss in Casa, and I genuinely felt like there's no way two people can kiss like that and not have a spark, if we're being honest. When Nicolandria did reject Nick in a way, I do know it was out of protection of her own self. She just did not want to be that woman to come in between a relationship, because she knew had she admitted those feelings, the villa would have been upside down. So when Sierra was removed from the villa, I knew she wanted to take that chance and see if there's something there now that there's no distractions. And I think she just wanted to build off of that. The next reason I do believe that people are skeptical of Nick and Nicolandria, it could also be due to the cultural backgrounds and personalities and interests. As I said at the beginning of the video, Nicolandria gives baddie aesthetic and Nick gives frat boy aesthetic. I don't know a lot of frat boys, especially white frat boys, who's out here dating women who look like Nicolandria. I'm not saying it's not impossible, but I've just never seen it happen. So I think a lot of people are like, well, we never seen these type of people come together. People just have a hard time digesting it. But as I stated before, like, when you go on a show like Love Island, you really get to see the person for who they are and not for what they are showing to the outside world. And I think that's the beauty of it. Why, yes, I understand we've never really seen these two type of people come together. We also can't pretend like they were not on a show that pretty much helped them build a bond, because they were literally cut off from the outside world. The next reason why I feel like people may be skeptical when it comes to Nick and Nicolandria is because they don't have any domestic moments. Domestic moments mean they're not doing doing the TikToks together. There are no private moments that are shown with them together, no Snapchats or whatever. It's pretty much they're only seen together when they're doing public events like red carpets, fashion shows, commercials, brand deals. They're only together when they're doing that, and it's really no domestic content. In a sense, I understand what people are coming from in that matter. If we're comparing, Shelly and A, Clark and Taylor, Iris and TJ, they have a lot of these cute little domestic moments that we don't really see a lot of Nicolandria. But at the same breath, once again, I understand why she does not want to show that. I felt like throughout the duration of them even coming together, and since they left the villa, it's been an immense amount of pressure on them and an immense amount of critiques on every move they make. Whether you're a fan of them, whether you're hating them, they're getting critiqued on every little thing. I too would want to keep my private moments private. Like, it's crazy because no one cares when any other couple does, but as soon as Nicolandria does it, it's all over the news. Like, so I too understand why they would not give that side out. Again, I also understand why people may be hesitant because it's like, it seems like you're only together when it's for brands or when it's for red carpets. It's not like you guys really have any personal moments. I think Nicolandria recently released some clips of their little domestic moments, probably just shut down the haters. Like, yes, I do have these clips. Yes, we do have these clips with each other, but I do not share it due to the fact that y'all be doing too much. So I've been sharing why I believe people are skeptic. Let me show you why I feel like people believe them. Nick and Nicolandria are very transparent about their relationship. I don't think not once have they said that they were boyfriend and girlfriend. They have not once have said that they're the love of each other's lives. They have both just stated that they were still exploring each other. They were still figuring it out. And I think a lot of people have to understand it's like they were coupled up for a week before the show ended. And that's pretty much the same thing from all the couples that were in the finale. They were brand new couples. I think the longest relationship out of the final four was Chris and Huda, which is crazy to say out loud. I think people forget that they were coupled up for only a week before the show ended. So I think they were just genuinely still exploring each other. They were still figuring each other out. So they've never once said that they were in love and could see myself getting married. Like, they never said any of that stuff. They pretty much just said, we're taking our time, we're exploring each other. And they have every right to do that. Before they even knew the ship existed, Nick and Nicolandria, they wanted to explore each other. Going back to episode 1 and episode 2, that pretty much showed that she was interested in him, and him kissing her on the second day show that feeling was mutual. They've been wanting to get to know each other. They just never had the opportunity because the entire experience pulled them in different directions. When they finally got to explore each other before the knowledge of the ship, I felt that too, that they were genuinely just trying to catch a vibe. I think Nicolandria stated in their GQ interview that she was not aware of the ship, that she did not know that was a thing. I feel like that just solidified to me that what they were doing in that villa during that time after they were coupled up were generally just two people catching a vibe. And I think what they were doing is what they were trying to continue, or are trying to continue outside of the villa, and just focus on each other and seeing if this is something they want to continue. And so far, they're doing it. Lastly, the reason why people believe, and also why I believe that they're a couple, is due to the fact that based off of what I've seen Nicolandria and how she carried herself on the show, I just don't see Nicolandria pretending to be in a relationship with someone who is not trying to genuinely pursue her, or who's only with her to get a bag. I just genuinely don't see her being in that type of space. Don't see her putting herself in an environment of like, oh, I know this guy does not like me. Oh, I know this guy does not see a future with me, but we're both getting a bag, so I'm gonna stay here and collect this bag. Granted, she could be doing that because, like I said, we don't know these people. But for what I feel, I don't think she's doing that. But like I said, you just never know. So, who is wrong in the argument? The people who feel like they're fake, or the people who feel like they're real? And my answer is no one. So I filmed this before I think Nick went on a podcast or an interview and officially stated that they were together, that they were boyfriend and girlfriend. At least I think. I haven't been keeping up with Nick and Nicolandria recently. This video was filmed weeks in advance. So a lot of things have happened since I filmed this, has been editing this. So I just wanted to add that in here. I think they are officially boyfriend and girlfriend. So there is technically a party that is wrong. All of the people who thought they were a freaking PR relationship that were fake for doing it for the clout, you guys are wrong. They really have feelings for each other and they're together. But that was the main purpose of me saying that. We didn't know the status of their relationship, so nobody's truly wrong. But now that we do know that the status of their relationship is boyfriend and girlfriend, the doubters are wrong. So thank you. We do not know Nick and Nicolandria personally, and we may never know the full details of their relationship unless they decide to share. They could possibly be in a PR relationship to launch their careers, and their fans, or the Nicolandria stands, they have already stated they do not care either way. That's their prerogative. As of right now, since there's no girlfriend announcement, or we don't even know if they're together officially yet, and I feel like no side of the argument will ever be wrong unless Nicolandria and Nick come out themselves and say, hey, we're actually together. This is my boyfriend. And even then, I feel like people still won't believe it. Also, in closing, I would like to say that Nick is not Kenny. Nick is not Warren Phillips. Nick is not these random white boys that be on TikTok that use black women for clout. We got to give people a fair shot, until we're proving otherwise. At the end of the day, these are just two people who are trying to explore each other and just trying to catch a vibe. I think when you're coming off of a show like Love Island and you're entering this newfound fame, when you're going through a life-changing experience and you're going through that life-changing experience with someone, I wouldn't say you're trauma bonded, but you're definitely experience bonded. And when you're experience bonded and you have someone who's also going through the same thing, you can build a bond, and that bond can grow romantic. Having that person that's always going to have your back throughout the hate trains, throughout the criticism or whatever, you can definitely build something from that. You can definitely build a romantic connection from that. And I think we just need to leave them alone and let them figure themselves out. I think both sides are trying to prove that one is fake and the other side is trying to prove that one is real. And it's just like, at the end of the day, these are two real people. That is pretty much all I have to say on this Nick and Nicolandria topic. I hope this video is not too long. Hopefully with this editing, it will at least be 30 maybe. So yeah, please like, comment, stay, subscribe for more. I will be trying to pump these out as much as possible. I do have some topics in mind that I do want to talk about, including Keke Palmer's new TV show. So stay tuned for that. Thank y'all so much for watching. Do hope you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all in my next video. Bye.